Our next session is fee-only practice. It's profitable and scalable. We are all RIAs by conviction. We know that at heart, if we are really dedicated to the interest of the client, we need to be fiduciaries. But then there's a question mark always. I mean, the key question here is, can RIA business be profitable? Yeah, in many senses, RIA business can be profitable. But again, there's a bit of skepticism in the sense that, can it be scalable? Here we are to hear a speaker who is convinced that the RIA practice is both profitable and scalable. Who else but Soumya Rajan, who's leading a successful practice, handling over $2 billion in assets in terms of heading the Waterfield Advisors. It's a leading multifamily office. As an advisory firm to family-owned businesses, Waterfield recognizes that families are dealing with multiple issues around safeguarding the family's business legacies. Not only about creation of wealth, but also about the preservation of wealth. And it's not only about preservation of wealth, but what should be the guiding principles for a family office to work through. As a client's trusted advisor, Waterfield helps families navigate through these complex issues. In a short span of time, the company has successfully been able to count several of India's iconic families as their clients. Of course, Soumya comes with a very rich experience. As a private banker, heading ANZ Greenlace Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, her last assignment being the head of private bank in Standard Chartered. But then, she felt that there was a huge gap in the wealth management segment and co-founded Waterfield. In 2010, she was awarded the Outstanding Young Private Banker by Private Banker International. And in 2014, 15, and 16, she was featured in the City Wealth International Finance Center Power Women Top 200 list. With such impressive credentials and a full conviction, no skepticism about RIA as a scalable and profitable practice, may I request Soumya, please teach us on how to be RIA not only at heart, but in terms of making it into a viable practice. Welcome, Soumya. Before I hand over the mic to Soumya, I should also say that the questions, all of you must be using the Network FP app. Please, for both Sean, for Soumya, as well as subsequent speakers, please put it. There's a menu called Question and Answers, and there's a sub-menu called RIA Summit. Please direct your questions to the speakers, and these will be responded. Yeah? Internet, okay. Either a data center. From the data, I think you need to use the phone's data card is what Tivesh says. But having said that, see if you can, and or else maybe you direct your questions to somebody whose network is there, and maybe we can through that we can field the questions. Over to you, Soumya. Thank you. Please.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Thank you for the very, very kind introduction that both Suresh has provided for me today. I'm extremely personally excited about addressing this forum today. Many of you would have heard of the ABCD concept in digital marketing. ABCD basically says that in India, internet consumption is principally driven by four things: astrology, Bollywood, cricket, and devotion. So to penetrate deep into the heart of the Indian consumer psyche, digital marketeers need to provide content around ABCD. Preparing for this talk, I reflected on my own journey at Waterfield in building a scalable and profitable advisory business. And I realized that inadvertently, I too had stumbled into this world of ABCD, and that my story was really no different. So let me start with astrology. Waterfield was born in August 2011. At that time, the stars were not favorably aligned. India did not have the investment advisor guidelines, nor did we have the concept of direct plans for mutual funds. And our business model was predicated on being a family office and a corporate advisory firm. With every client that I approached, there was always the issue of paying double fees on investments, because at that time, clients had an inbuilt distribution cost for their investments. And here I was asking them for an advisory fee over and above that. The going was extremely tough, and I seriously remember considering that I may even have to shut the business 1 year actually after having started it. Then, as if by some miracle, and this is where I believe the stars played a significant role, in September of 2012, SEBI announced that they were instructing mutual funds to set up 2 separate plans, direct and distributor. This was additionally followed up with the investment advisor guidelines in January of 2013, and I couldn't believe my good fortune. Here I was, perfectly placed to take advantage of one of the most significant changes that was going to impact the wealth management industry in India. Today, the stars are even better aligned. Since late 2016, SEBI has brought out 3 consultation papers on the segregation of activities between distributors and advisors, probing at every stage to understand market acceptance for the rollout of regulation that clearly demarcates distributors from advisors. To recap for the benefit of this audience, the original 2013 guidelines allowed distributors to set up a separate division to offer advisory services, or in other words, market players can provide both distribution and advisory services. This is how large market participants are organized today. The 2 consultation papers, which were brought out in October 2016 and July of 2017, went one step further, saying that distributors could offer advisory services, but they would need to set up a separate subsidiary for this activity. So from a separate division, we now move to a separate subsidiary, but still allowing the distributor and the advisor, the distributor to actually provide advisory services as well. The 3rd consultation paper, brought out earlier this month, is perhaps the most pointed and suggests that advisors and distributors must choose whether they will be an advisor or will they be a distributor, but that they cannot be both. This is in fact a model which is already practiced in certain developed markets, which Sean pointed to earlier, like the UK, Netherlands, Australia, where you only have an advisory model and with certain client segments in the US. McKinsey's Global Wealth Pools database estimates that the assets of clients having more than $1 million will double over the next decade, from $71 trillion to $121 trillion. This is a huge opportunity for all wealth practitioners. Interestingly, a Fidelity report on RIA benchmarking estimated that in the US between 2004 and 2015, practitioners adopting the pure advisory model, and here I'm saying pure advisory, moved between 40 to 80%, with fees in the range of 30 to 75 basis points of the assets under advisory. What will be important for Indian markets will be to see how the pricing power what is the pricing power that advisors will have as the advisory market actually begins to mature in India. If the new SEBI guidelines are implemented, this will have a profound impact on existing business models, and the stage, I think, is set for national advisory businesses like Waterfield. So for us, we believe the future augurs extremely well. Let me now move to the role of Bollywood in Waterfield's journey. Yes, we do count several of Bollywood's leading actors as our clients, but today I intend to draw the inference to Bollywood slightly differently through one of Hindi cinema's most beloved dialogues. The exchange is from the 1975 blockbuster film Diwar, about the story of 2 brothers, where Amitabh Bachchan plays the angry young man Vijay Varma, and Shashi Kapoor, who sadly died late last year in the role of his younger brother, Ravi Verma. विजय वर्मा पूछता है अपने छोटे भाई से, आज मेरे पास बिल्डिंगें हैं, प्रॉपर्टी हैं, बैंक बैलेंस है, बंगला है, गाड़ी है, क्या है तुम्हारे पास? And Ravi Verma famously answers, मेरे पास माँ है. Now, all of you must be thinking, what is the connection between this filmy dialogue by the famous duo Salim Javed and an advisory business? But there is a deep connection. A pure advisory business captures the higher moral ground, like when Ravi Verma passionately declares that mere paas maa hai. In the years that I have worked to build Waterfield, if there is one thing I will always be proud of, it is that we have never deviated from the path of doing the right thing ethically by our clients. Fundamentally, an advisory business is built on trust and the quality of advice. Trust, like respect, is something you have to earn. It cannot be demanded. Scalability and profitability for an advisory business are outcomes of having a strong fundamental business model that is built on trust and integrity. Transparency is part of the advisor's creed. At all times, we work in our client's best interest and avoid all conflicts of interest. This is what we are paid to do, and there can be no compromise and shortcuts if we want to build a great advisory practice in the longer term. There can never be a compromise on an advisor's integrity. A fee-only business is like the proverbial maa in Diwar, always looking out for the client's best interest with unconditional love. In India, they say cricket is a religion. As an adult, I watched India's cricketing prowess grow, and equally the creation of new and exciting formats of the game. Here I relate building a scalable and profitable advisory business to test match cricket, as compared to shorter formats of the game, namely T20 or the 50 overs match. An advisory business takes much longer to build than a distributor business. The revenue stream is annuity, and one where the client cuts out a check to you every month or every quarter. Countless industry colleagues have always said that Indian clients don't pay fees. And that is one of the reasons they have shied away from starting an advisory business, because it is just too hard. I would rather like to rephrase the debate to say that Indian clients are more price sensitive and far more demanding and discerning when it comes to determining perceived value. Every time you seek the advisory fee from a client, the client is mentally weighing up the value that you have provided to them in that month or that quarter. In some ways, this is actually no different from what CEOs of listed companies go through every quarter. Arundhati Bhattacharya, SBI's former chairman, aptly called it QSQT, quarter se quarter tak, when they had to justify their performance every quarter to shareholders. And if the company performed badly, the stock was hammered. So to be able to be an advisor, you need to think constantly about how you are raising the bar and adding value to the relationship. In this model, you cannot take the client for granted, as they can walk away at any time. Going back to Waterfield's journey, as the regulatory landscape started to settle down in 2013, Waterfield was confronted with a good problem. Our initial success was being noticed, and in late 2013, we were approached by external investors for an investment into the company. We had the choice of either growing at the pace that we were already trending, or to take in external capital to accelerate our growth. This is when the discussion around building a scalable model began to actually take shape in my mind. Every entrepreneur dreams of this moment when a third party validates and backs a business idea. For Waterfield, the external funding was received in March 2014 and helped us to recruit key talent and expand our offering to other locations. Today, we have offices in Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, and Bangalore, and employ 35 people. We manage assets under advisory a little over 2.5 billion and serve clients in these 4 metros along with Hyderabad, Pune, and Goa. As on date, I still feel, though, that Waterfield has only taken baby steps in building a scalable business. But as I look at our next phase of growth, technology will play a very large role in taking our value proposition to many more clients across multiple locations. While traditionally we have built our business as a multifamily office, I recognize that there is an enormous vacuum for a fee-only based business for the investment advisory piece alone. With our experience and expertise, our goal is very firmly to be India's leading advisory business in the next 10 years. For a client, having an advisory relationship is deeply satisfying. Having someone on your side of the table whose sole objective is your best interest and without a conflict of interest is invaluable. Drawing up a proper financial plan, pulling in relevant products into the portfolio instead of products being pushed into the portfolio, and even lowering the cost of investments are all the benefits that clients stand to gain by working with an advisor. However, the difficulty is that each of these outcomes may take years to manifest themselves, and therefore it is important to stay the course. So when building this business, please remember that it's a test match. It's not a T20 game that all of us are playing. And now to the D of the ABCD model, devotion. And here I want to share some of my personal beliefs. I was a career banker all my life, having worked with one organization for 17 years. And in 2010, I was heading the private bank of Standard Chartered in India, and every wealth manager was a distributor. My RMs were aggressively selling investment products to earn their bonuses, and I, as their leader, was egging them on to increase sales so that the business achieved its targets. Maybe it was the milestone of turning 40. Maybe it was the fatigue of constantly spending hours of time in unproductive management meetings, and a feeling that I had stopped learning that drove me to seek entrepreneurship as an expression to my creative freedom. 2 management books greatly influenced and shaped my thinking when I was actually creating Waterfield. The first book is Blue Ocean Strategy by W. Chan Kim and Renee Morborg on how to create uncontested market space and make competition irrelevant. The book argues that cutthroat competition results in nothing but a blood-strewn red ocean of rivals and competitors fighting over a shrinking profit pool. Lasting success, however, comes not from battling competition, but from, in fact, creating blue oceans or untapped new market spaces ripe for growth. To me, the red ocean is the wealth distribution space today, shrinking margins and an extremely competitive landscape. The blue ocean is the pure advisory business, untapped and ripe for growth. In this book, the authors further talk about profitability and had 2 interesting concepts on both the revenue and cost side of the business. On the revenue side, they argued that it was important to understand what clients wanted and that if it addressed their latent needs, clients would be willing to pay a fee, often higher, for a value-added service. On the expense side, it was about getting the cost model right. Both these concepts resonated with me greatly because when I was in banking and running a P&L, I realized that one of the biggest challenges in building a profitable franchise in India is about getting the cost model correct. India as a market is characterized by large volumes and low ticket sizes. So unless the cost structures are commensurate with the revenues, you run the risk of running a loss-making business. Several of India's wealth management outfits today have in fact today cost structures which are disproportionate to their revenues. So when I was building out Waterfield, I was very conscious of the cost structures within the firm. It is with a great deal of pride that I can share with all of you that this year, Waterfield will be a profitable entity. The second book that I was greatly influenced by was Execution, a book by Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan. The authors argue that you may have the world's best business idea, but if you did not have the discipline of getting things done, your idea would never see the light of day. The focus of the book was on understanding how to link three core processes of any business together, namely people, strategy, and operations. If you want to build a great business, you must have an eye for detail and be maniacal about good execution. At Waterfield, this is a given and something that we do every single day. Lastly, when you are building a business and pioneering a new idea or a concept, you will always need to draw upon the deep reserves of self-belief and conviction that you have as an entrepreneur. There will be good days and there will be horrible, terrible days. Thank you all for patiently listening to Waterfield's journey till date. We are in the early days of building a credible, sustainable, profitable, and scalable fee-only business. What we do know is that our clients deserve the right to have credible choices and that our employees the opportunity to work in organizations that give them meaning. I will conclude by saying that Network FP, in its mission statement, states that it aspires to become a community of 10,000 qualified professionals who are helping 1 million families achieve financial well-being by 2030. At Waterfield, we hope to play a small part in making this mission statement a reality. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Soumya. Really made a very erudite presentation on fiduciary practice. The only way, Indian clients are very discerning. They perceive value. They know how to extract value. So I think the key message here is always look at the value that we deliver to the clients, and then our RIA mission would be successful. So before we begin the next session, so may I request Michael Fernandez to hand over memento to Soumya for her really insightful presentation.